Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. So in this video it's going to be a little bit different. In a second I'm going to link to a almost separate video that I did of showing you directly a group of collections from the Smithsonian Institute's Museum for the American Indian. So this is going to be me talking about and showing from my computer screen the different exhibitions they have available. So just a brief look. Again, I will link this in the description so you can go to the site. It's an amazing site, has quite a bit of information. This is going to be my hub for these videos during November because I can't do, as I said, I think I repeat this a couple times, I can't do documentaries because I don't have time, toddler, or film because there's not really a lot of very good Native American representation there. And because I'm not a person of color and I don't know how to judge these things, I'm simply not going to go there. I'm sure a lot of people, particularly people of color, have gone there. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to look at these academic resources. So that is it, and I will finish up and add another ending. So this is going to be a couple different videos. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. This is the website for the Smithsonian Institute. You can see up here. This is the National Museum of the American Indian. So this is their online resources. This is where I'm going to be giving all my video stuff for the month of November on my Friday reviews. If you've seen my introduction, you say rather than, as I said, rather than doing films because, you know, Native Americans and film, and I don't have time to watch documentaries because toddler, we're going to look at this online resource. So for this video, I'm going to be looking at these online exhibitions. So that's what we're clicked on here. There are several of them, so I'm going to do a quick overview of them. We have, the first one is Why We Serve, which is about the Native Americans in the military. You have the Developing Stories, which is what this is. Hopefully I will double check come November if this is going to be the same set of stories there as it is now. I am filming here in June, so it might be different. The website of the America goes over a little bit more history. Nation to Nation is actually a look at the primary documents. So this is a look at some of the actual treaties. Then the Great Inca Row Engineering Empire is looking more at South America. So this is looking at the Inca Row and basically the Inca Empire and the ones that preceded. This is the exact same site, only in Spanish, so I'm not going to go there. I can't pronounce that word. Basically, this is a look at some restored photos using a platinum system. So this is how they restored some of ancient, older Native American photographs. Infinity Nations is more of an art history collection. Similar to this, the Circle of Dances will look at some of the native dances. A Song of the Horse Nation looks at Native Americans and their relation to horses. This website, The Invisible African Native American Lives of Americas, doesn't exist. So I'm not going to go over that, so you can see that that doesn't exist. And then this is a more modern thing. I'll look at this briefly. It's called Hide, Skin as Material and Metaphor. So it's more modern art. Briefly look at that. It's very weird. So the first one I'm going to go over. I'm going to do a right click and do a separate thing here. So this is We Serve Native Americans in the United States Armed Forces. This is a very well done website. It goes over quite a bit of history, so you can see why on earth people who were essentially conquered, a variety of different cultures and what amounts to be nations, were taken over by colonialism and the United States. Why would they fight for this country? So, and this kind of explains their history and why current people, natives, participate in the military for various reasons, including education, and essentially they're trying to escape poverty. That's as well as multiple other reasons. So look at what they do. So this is, you can explore cultures of war, which is the ancient history and how they fought, tribes fought against each other. And then basically you can learn about the code talkers here, and why warriors didn't always carry guns. So I'll click on the explore more topics. So this goes over everything. So The Culture of War, which is one collection. You also have Origins of Native American Military Service. So this is the beginning. And then it goes over the Civil War, the Army Scouts, that's 1860 to 1890, the Spanish-American War, World War I, you can see that picture there, the Code Talkers, that's a Pacific area, World War II, Native Women and World War II, Alaska Territorial Guard, Korea, Vietnam, conflicts in the Middle East, that's present wars, War and Peace, so this is them during peacetime, and then something that looks at the National Native American Veterans Memorial. So I'll give a quick look. Let's look at the Native. So this is essentially one of the sites. As a technical perspective, this site is done very, very well. It's easy to navigate, it's very colorful, it provides quite a bit of information very easily. So it's easy to access. And you have a lot of information. So this talks about basically their women in the Women's Army Corps, and then the women's accepted for volunteer emergency service, which is a naval reserve. So you have different information, you have the photographs here, and you kind of scroll through this. So that's what this specific area does. So you can scroll through this and find various different information, as well as archival photographs of these different natives in military service topics. So we're going to move on, because the next one is the developing stories. So these are 3 photo essays. This seems to change over time, but this is what they have up currently. If there isn't, I will do an additional thing on here if this changes by the time this video airs. This is being filmed in June. And this, obviously, by the time you guys are watching this, it's November. So these are the 3 ones they currently have on there. You have the COVID-19 outbreak in the Navajo Nation, Reservation Mathematics, Navigating Love in Native America, and I can't pronounce this, the Genzino Pedlo of the Albuquerque. So these 2 were done by members of each of these tribes. So the photographer here was of the Navajo Nation, and the photographer here was of, this is I think it's Blackfoot tribe in Montana. This is done by a non-native on a different community that I'd never heard of, that's a mix. It's land that's in north of Santa Fe, New Mexico, a mix of basically the indigenous Hispanic community. These are a people who were sold. They were part of a variety of different tribes. They were prisoners of war, and they were sold to the Spanish. So I will go over that once we get to that video essay. I'm going to review this one here. So this is the first. This is the outbreak of the COVID-19 outbreak in the Navajo Nation. So this talks about what the person did and what was going on. So there's a whose video essay here about what happened. And then you have the big map here. So this is the Navajo Nation. You have Arizona down here, so the majority of it is here. This is New Mexico, so a part of it is here. And then this is Utah. Yes, Utah. And then Colorado, which it doesn't have any land here. And then this is the Hopi Reservation in the middle. Just a random fact. There's nothing to do with this. It's just slightly funny. So if you're not aware, Arizona does not participate in daylight savings. Because not New Mexico and Utah do, the Navajo Nation does. The Hopi does not. So you have Arizona not following daylight savings, the Hopi Reservation not following daylight savings, and then the Navajo Nation that does. So things get a little weird. But so this is what's essentially called the Four Corners area. And yes, I'm in the American Southwest, so I'm familiar with the area at least a little bit. So this talks about, and it shows a lot of pictures of when happened as the COVID-19 pandemic evolved through. Basically, this is being filmed in 2021, so this was last year for us. It wasn't that long ago. We are just kind of seemingly at the closing end of this pandemic. Sorry, yawning. Again, I have a toddler who doesn't necessarily sleep through the night, so yawning. And this is being filmed at night, because that's when she sleeps. So again, back to this, it's an amazingly well done video essay. The site, similar to the previous one, is done very well. It's very, very accessible. The photographs are amazing. The formatting is amazing. It's very accessible from a technical perspective. So the Smithsonian did very, very well here, and I'm not surprised. It's the Smithsonian. This is what they do. So this shows you have the people who are poor. You have the Black Lives Matter protests. This is actually in New Mexico. So this is in Albuquerque. So, and then you just, basically it's just a variety of photographs. This is what I'm not going to attempt to pronounce this, what the Navajos call themselves. So I do not want to butcher that word. You can read through it. I will leave the link to the site in the description so you can have a look at this yourselves and take your time to read through all of this. So I'm going to move on to the next one. So this is the video essay, Reservation Mathematics. So this one. Talks a little bit about what this is. This is a video essay talking about the blood quantum requirements for tribal enrollment. So essentially what this means is you have to be so much of the tribe, essentially, to qualify as a member of the tribe. And if your child is not, they're not a member of the tribe. So that means, in the case of the first family here, where she is of the Navajo reservation, oddly enough, he is of this Flathead Indian reservation here in Missoula, in Montana, right outside Missoula. So their child, he doesn't have enough, basically, he's not enough of a Native American for to pass on to his daughter. So she essentially, they have a certain quantum level. So their child, let's see, yeah, it tells it. So let's see, and this kind of explains it. So the offspring has to be of a certain amount. So in this case, their child, he is a certain amount, and basically his child, so he has, let's see, you have to have a blood quantum level of 7/16, or yeah, and he's a member of, and his wife is a member of the Navajo Nation. So she didn't grow up on that, which has a blood quantum level of 3/4. So his tribes require 1/4 to be of this specific tribe for enrollment. Their child will not qualify to be a member of the Confederated Salish, and I can't pronounce that, tribes, and will be enrolled as a Navajo. So she essentially will not have rights as a member of this tribe. So she loses, and this is what this talks about. It talks about how, even though she's growing up of this tribe, she's not legally of it. So she won't be able to, once she turns 18, she'll no longer legally be welcomed on tribal land. She can't hunt there. She's not able to get medical services there. So she's essentially not considered of the tribe, even though she's grown up there. And it sucks for him. I mean, this is his child. This is where she's not going to be able to live the life that he's able to do. And you have the quote here. It's like, this is how traditions die, because the moment she turns 18, she can't put into practice what he can teach her in their own home. This is where she's going to grow up. So it sucks. And then it goes through a variety of different families. This family is able to, they both have enough blood quantum for their children to pass on to their children. So, and then it goes through different other families, their enrollment status. This is a younger couple. She's, I believe, is white. They're 15. So his family is not, some families do, you'll see when I scroll down, they pressure their children to marry specific people within the tribe, basically to pass on the bloodlines. And his family is not pressuring him. She, I believe, is white. So, yeah, he's a member of the Confederated Tribes. And she identifies as, at least I think that's her. The names are difficult to tell. The other one basically identifies as white. So, and I believe that's her, because kind of that's the way it looks. I could be wrong. Yeah, so Brandy. So let's see. Yeah, she identifies as white, and he does not. And then you have another person who doesn't care. His family kind of pushes him, and he just doesn't care. And then you have another couple here. So you have a gay couple, and basically they're talking about how they see flaws in this blood quantum level. And you have another one where basically their tribal ID, whether this is their identity or not. And this woman is actually a member of the tribal council. So she's an elected member, and she's not for the blood quantum level. She essentially thinks this is what's going to make them go extinct. So this is a very interesting story, and something I wasn't aware of, and gives kind of a perspective there of different people of this specific tribe. And then you have the last photo essay here. So this talks about a strange little group of people that I'd never heard of up in northern New Mexico. So this is their little land grant. So down here is Santa Fe. And what these people are essentially, back in the 18th century, the Spanish would buy prisoners of war, native prisoners of war from other native tribes. So if you were a Hopi, you were battling Navajo, and you were taken as a prisoner of war, they would sell you essentially to the Spanish. The Spanish would convert you to Catholicism and essentially turn you into a slave. And that's who these people are descended from. And this is their land. This is the land grant they were given, and where their community takes place. And this is what this kind of photo essay talks about, is this small group of people that mix both native traditions with Catholicism, because that's their heritage. So it's a very interesting photo essay. So that's what this one goes over. Hopefully these things will still be up when this goes goes live, because all three of them are extremely interesting. So, but we're going to exit out of here, and we're going to go on to the Americas. So this is more of a traditional archive. So we're going to click on here and see if it will let me. There we go. There we go. So it talks about a couple things. This is a little video on the invention of Thanksgiving, which is just kind of funny. I'm not going to play it here. And then you have a couple different things. I'll click on here. And then this one, the Queen of America, talks about Pocahontas. So it's very interesting, her legacy and her story. And then you have the Removal Act. So this talks about the Trail of Tears. It says, it's like, Trail of Tears, not what you think, not even close. So this talks about the real history of what went on in this area. So it's showing where in America this was the Indian removal. So this was essentially the removal of native tribes in the American South, and I believe they sent them all west. So that's kind of how the groups like the Cherokee and various different things. So, and then you have the Indians win. So this is about Little Bighorn, I believe. Yeah, where essentially the Americans are obsessed with a battle that they lost. Mind you, they wore it's the Battle of Little Bighorn. I believe this is where Custer, being stupid, because Custer was in fact very, very stupid, yeah, they shot Custer because Custer's a moron. And yes, so this talks about this history and why North Americans are obsessed with this battle, which eventually the natives won the battle, they lost the war, because American gun firepower. So we had a bigger military. Moving on. So that's what this site talks about. So now we're going to go look at, this is a brief look at nation to nation. So treaties between the United States of America and Indian nations. So this is actually just a look at the actual treaties. So it will come up here. You can examine the actual screened copies of these actual documents, which must have been very, very difficult to get these digitized, because these things have got to be extremely delicate. So must have been very, very careful. So that's what this is. I'm not going to go into it. I'll click on the exhibition part. So this is the online exhibition, so you can go through different things, and they can talk about clothing and different artifacts and different things. So that's what this is. close out of here and move on to the next one. So this is the Great Inca Row. So again, this is the same thing in Spanish. So I'm just going to look at this one. In fact, I'm going to do it in a different link here. And why it advertised to give back. Exit out of that, because again, Smithsonian is a nonprofit institution. They need money. So this talks about the Inca Empire. So this is showing you where the Inca Empire was. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce this because I'm not crazy. And this talks about the different cultures. You have the ancestors of the Inca universe, the invasion, and then the road of the Inca today. So this is an amazing look. We'll kind of do a little bit here. Click on this. So these are the different groups that existed before. So, and it talks about various different bits of information. Again, similar to the other very interactive collections, this is done very, very well. It's very easy to read through. It's colorful. It flows well. As a technical perspective, this is done very, very well and provides quite a bit of information in a small space that's very accessible. So I'm not going to go over that too much. So again, this part is in Spanish. This is a group of couple collections of photographs that are done, and this explains the platinum printing process that they over silver printing process, and talking about the restoration of these photos. So these are 3 different collections. So you have this one by Larry McNeil here. And if you click on each one of these, you can listen to recordings. So it has interviews and it talks about what each photograph does. So that's what's on each one of these. And then you have this Will Wilson. So I'm going to click on his introduction. And he has these photographs, the restoration and doing this very specific type of photography. And again, he does not have any audio. So it's just he's going to give you information about each one of these photographs. And then the Vanishing Race printed in platinum. I'm going to click on the introduction here. This one also does have audio. So you have curator audio that talks about each one of these photographs. Again, very well done. These are amazing photographs with probably amazing stories. I haven't had chance to look at it in detail. But you can see there's a lot of information here, and it's done very, very well. And you can look at digital images of these ancient photographs and listen to some of the stories and the information of these people and the photography process it is to either restore or create these things. And we're going to move on. So that's where we were. This is a kind of a general artifact thing. So you have quite a bit of information here. The Infinity of Nations, this is art history in the collections of the National Museum of the American Indian. So this is essentially some of what you would see when you went to the museum itself in DC. So you look at a variety of different artifacts. You have a variety of different places, so you can look at all the information and pick one artifact to look at. It would be a good piece of place to do or thing to look at. It's a great educational resource. I'm listening for a fussing child. Okay, so we're going to move on, partially because I have a fussing child periodically, so I want to get this done. So this is very similar. This is a circle dance. So you have this would essentially be an exhibit at the museum. So this is similar to what you would see. You would have the information, and by doing it digitally, you're able to look at it and read this at your leisure. So you have all this information, and then you can go through, you click the menu here, and then they have a variety of different dances. You can click on these. You have an essay about it. You can scroll through here about the author and about the outfit itself, and then you can go up here and you maybe even click on the map here. So this is where this comes from. So this is South America, and you click back and hit the menu, and then you have the Hopi dance. So these, and then some of these have media. So you have the entire essay, what's the author, what about this outfit, and then you can see it possibly in use depending on which artifact you can see. So this is it's very well done. It's very beautiful. A lot of information here. So let's move on. This is about the horses. So this is similar to these previous two. So you have a lot of information here. You have the return of the horse nation. You have various different artifacts and photographs. So this object is not on display. So you get to see things that aren't necessarily on display within the museum themselves. The impact of horses. So again, it's talking about quite a bit of information. How they used them, what their history was, and looking at photographs of some of the artifacts. So this is if your kids are into horses or you're just looking at natives and horse culture, this is the history there. So, and then again, this one doesn't exist. This is weird. And I will show you. This is more modern art. So hide the skin as material and metaphor. So yeah, this is modern art. I'm not a big fan of this type of modern art, but that's just me. So this is just kind of a collection of these, basically looking at the skin, looking at tattoos. It looks like they're looking at photographs of jewelry and different modes of handling things. So it talks about this as these artists. So this is modern art. So if you click on this, you can look at the site. I find some of this very, very slightly gross and slightly very weird. Just some of this is odd. Again, I'm not huge on this type of modern art, so we're going to get out of here, and this is not historic. So, so that's what this is. So you have a lot of information in this small space, so you have a lot of access. So it's a great resource. It's an amazing resource to look at. This entire thing is an amazing resource. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be covering food, Native American women, and then their Thanksgiving. At a later date, I'll probably try to cover more of this, more of their materials. And maybe I'll bring that to you maybe next year, maybe at a later date when I have time. So, but that's what we're going to look at here. Again, I will link this in the description so you guys have a chance to look at these amazing resources for yourselves and show them to your kids and just learn the history of the native peoples of North and South America. I don't know if it really goes into Central America here, and some of the materials that the National Museum of the American Indian can provide. So that is it. I will do my conclusion here, but this is going to be the end of us looking at this. And I will see you in person in just a moment. Thank you. Okay, so that is the ending of that. So those are basically a brief look at the online exhibitions from the Smithsonian Institute of the American Indian. So this is directly from basically their website. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of great information. And as I said in my introduction, this is the hub where I'm going to be getting the information from. This is just one tiny piece of their online grouping of information of Native American history and culture and kind of that area of history that we're going to be looking at through November, because that's where one of the kind of the months where we have a chance to look specifically at Native culture. And honestly, it's just an excuse because Thanksgiving is weird. One of the videos on that site goes into why Thanksgiving it's just weird. And I think I did a little bit of my introduction talking about Thanksgiving is weird. So essentially, I'm just using November as an excuse to talk about Native American history because I think it's important. It's an important thing to look at no matter who you are, because it's part of human history. So it's part of us all, and it's important that we don't forget it because these cultures have been decimated enough. We don't want to lose their stories, nor do we want to lose the stories of us, of colonialism, and at least some of my ancestors, not all. I mentioned my introduction. Some of my family, particularly on my father's side, are recent immigrants, as in I believe on German side, I'm like third, maybe fourth generation removed from Ellis Island. So at least some of my family had nothing to do with this. They had stuff to do with various things going on in Europe and Germany and Sweden, because that's where my family comes from that side. But have a look at these resources. If you're looking for Native American stuff, this is a great place to start. It's a great resource, particularly if you're looking for online exhibitions. So looking at being able to look at the different artifacts without having to leave your home. Because not everybody has a chance to see a museum with Native American history. So my state does. We're lucky. We have a herd museum that me and my husband have visited, which is great. I'm trying to think. We saw, back when we were dating, they had a traveling Frida Kahlo exhibit that we saw that was pretty amazing. We're probably not going to visit anytime soon because it's not going to pose any interest to my toddler. It's not age appropriate right now. It's something we will probably visit later when our child, and hopefully a second child, is older. But that is it for this video. This is the first of a video I'm going to be doing looking at these different resources provided by the Smithsonian's Museum of the American Indian, and hopefully a test to see if I can do some screenshotting here. So that is it. Check out the rest of my channel. I'm doing a bunch of more Native American stuff, including some regular book reviews this month, some fun stuff during Christmas. I've done some fun stuff from Halloween, a bunch of videos, book reviews, some of the classic book reviews. I've done several more book reviews, and more stuff to come from book reviews, family reviews, family videos, or more specifically, family-friendly video reviews, some sprinkling of homeschooling stuff, and some child travel stuff. So like and subscribe if you like what you see. Thank you.